Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this evening session with Paul Meirsman. First, a few words about the European Union of Yoga, which was created in 1971 and which is now a network of 24 national yoga federations across Europe. It is well known for setting the official European standard for yoga teacher training, which requires at least 500 hours over 4 years. Every summer in August, it holds a big yoga congress international in Switzerland in Zinal. The theme of the 2026 Congress is Bhava and Rasa, Emotions in Yoga. I will put you the link in the Telegram chat. Right now, we are running a series of free online talks and workshops on spirituality, featuring teachers and researchers from across Europe. Our guest today is part of this community. Let me introduce tonight's session. The teachings of T K V Desikachar on meditation, theory, and practice. T K V Desikachar was the son of Tirumalai Krishnamacharya, the well-known modern yoga teachers from Mysore. Desikachar was trained as a civil engineer. He was also a devout brahman, deeply rooted in tradition. Desikachar maintained a profound respect for the formal structure of the Vedic practices. By adapting the content, he made it meaningful for the international students who came from everywhere to learn from him. His vision of meditation was not an abstract concept. It was a practical three-part integration of āsana, prāṇāyāma, and dhyāna. The meditation could be Hindu, Muslim, Christian, or even atheistic in its focus. The form was guided, the content was personal. This teaching was carried forward by many students. Our guest today, Paul Meirsman, amongst all of them. Paul Meirsman was born in 1953 in Belgium, Ghent. He's a retired civil servant who practices yoga more or less since 1988. He's a student of Frans Moors in Liège, a long-life student of T K V Desikachar. He conducts yoga teacher trainings, and his life's work is to compile the teachings of T K V Desikachar in a series of books. Paul feels more like a student than a yoga instructor and teacher, but he enjoys sharing the knowledges that he has found, and he wants to pass on the genuine teaching. Shall we begin?
I thank the ghost. I think I can jump 2 pages. Okay, I'll open. Voilà, it's Voilà. Okay. So the intention of this lecture is to be a tribute to Sir Desikachar, who has been one of the most influential yoga teachers of contemporary time. And also to thank my teacher, Frans Moors, who was a long-term student of Desikachar. I thank him for the teachings I received. By the way, the content of this lecture is mainly derived from 2 articles he wrote in the 90s. The lecture will focus on the teaching of Desikachar on meditation. The lecture is rather short, but has practical value for designing group practices with a spiritual aspect. Furthermore, the lecture will explain where his method comes from. I warn the sensitive ears that my pronunciation may not always be perfect because I have no experience at all speaking English. First, I would like to tell you something about his life and work in general. No, about his life and work. He was born in 1938 in Mysore and passed away in 2016 in Chennai at the age of 78 years. He was a son of Tirumalai Krishnamacharya, one of the fathers of modern yoga. The family of Desikachar belongs to the Sri Vaishnava Sampradayam, a religious tradition in South India. They worship Lord Vishnu and his consort Lakshmi. Tirumalai Krishnamacharya was a very devout man. Desikachar had an academic education as an engineer. This is noticeable in the didactics of his teaching. In fact, his father was the mentor. Desikachar was the engineer architect of the teachings. It's always difficult for me to find the button. Krishnamacharya was a very devout man. In 1961, Desikachar became student of his father at the age of 20 years old. He had 20 years old at that moment. As a child and teenager, Desikachar, of course, practiced yoga under his father's guidance, but later came to regard his father's activities as old-fashioned. After completing his studies, he became impressed by the results his father achieved with therapeutic treatment. At a given moment, Desikachar asks his father, "Can everybody study yoga?" Krishnamacharya answered, "Yes, but not you. You are already engineer." One can wonder if this was humor, but he nevertheless accepted his son as student. In the 60s, probably his first famous student was Krishnamurti, an unorthodox and controversial philosopher. One of his mottos was, "Don't listen to the speaker." He influenced Desikachar, which became very open-minded. After the first Congress in Zinal, that was in 1973, back in Chennai, he said to his father, "That is not yoga there, that's an hospital." His father then instructed him to collect and teach the asanas that are suitable for Westerns. The book that forms the basis of his teachings was written in 1980. It calls Religiousness in Yoga. It is the report of a seminar he gave at Colgate University, United States, written by two of his academic students, Martin and Margaret Pierce. That book is very expensive these days, but the popular book, The Heart of Yoga, is a summary of it. He conducted seminars all over the world, and had students which can be divided in English, Spanish, French, and German groups, and probably others too. Then we come to our core business. The inspiration of or sources of his teaching, meditation. The content and construction of his meditation practice is the Vedic or Brahman tradition. Firstly, the Sandhya Vandana, and secondly, the manner in which a visit to a Hindu temple proceeds. I'll explain now the Sandhya Vandana. The Sandhya Vandana is the salutation to the sun, not the Surya Namaskar, but the daily Brahman prayer, 3 times a day, when the sun rises in the morning, when it reaches its zenith, and at midday and sets in the evening. The prayer includes a tribute to the elements, rituals avec water, the wind, and light, then a sankalpa, a focus, intention, promise. We would call it a bhavana. Then also asanas, such as samastiti, tadasana, padmasana, and utkatasana. It contains also a prāṇāyāma with the rhythm 1-4-2-0. This rhythm is not recommended for us. With a mantra, of course the Gayatri, also Nyasa, that is touching limbs and head. An example, palming the eyes, and then the dhyāna, the meditation. Also the Ashtanga Namaskara, that is the prostration, laying the front of the body stretched out on the ground. Voila, that are the main ingredients of the prayer. All those elements can be applied in a meditation and even a yoga practice. The second base of his teaching is the stages of the visit of a Hindu temple. It proceeds in 3 phases. Phase 1, Hindus prepare for their visit to the temple. They buy flowers and fruit, purify themselves, and take off their shoes before entering the temple. Phase 2, they walk through the corridors of the temple. This is the journey inward. And in the center, they encounter their deity and receive a biscuit from the priest, a prasada, symbol for a calm and quiet mind. See Yoga Sutra 147. Then phase 3, at the exit of the temple, they reflect briefly on their visit, and then they return to their daily life. One might wonder how they find their shoes back in that large pile at the entrance of the temple. Then we come to the elements of a meditation practice. Important factors of a meditation practice include the choice of the object, the preparation, and the different phases of the practice, the 3 phases. Personal adjustments, and the relationship with the teacher. These philosophical principles are elaborated in the technical principles of the famous Vinyoga of yoga, the modifications or adjustments to the individual, the construction or vinyasa and vinyasa krama of a yoga practice, compensatory postures and bhavanas, thus a point of attention. Briefly, Desikachar passed on the Vedic or Brahmin hardware of the meditation and yoga practice, but not its software. Because an important starting point of the teaching is, his view was, that meditation is culture-bound. According to Krishnamacharya, every student should meditate on a deity or saint from their own culture and religion. He never taught a student from the West to meditate on Lord Narayana or any other Indian god. If the student were Christian, he gave them as an object of meditation Jesus, Mary, or a saint such as Francis of Assisi. And if they were Muslim, he gave them Allah as meditation object. At the other hand, he instructed Simon Tempelhof Moors, who was Jewish, to conduct the first school of Vedic chanting in Europe, and Sonia Nelson, an American, he gave the image of the Virgin Mary as a meditation object, even thought she was also Jewish. And of course, the second topic was Ishvara Pranidhana. In 1961, Krishnamacharya omitted the sutras about Ishvara because when Desikachar was not interested in them. Desikachar was not devout, did not visit temples, and did not wear ritual symbols except for his Brahmin creed. Desikachar was a modern man. Later, Desikachar gave an innovative explanation of Ishvara Pranidhana. He expanded the notion into dedication one's life to a noble ideal. In that sense, the activism for human and animal rights, for the environment, and against poverty is a kind of Ishvara Pranidhana, both as a means of concentration, samadhi, and as a form of practice and detachment, vairagya abhyasa. The third principle, the meditation object can be any form of reflection. It's why I said he passed on the hardware of the Vedas and the tradition, but not the software. The Vedas and Yoga Sutra accept any form of reflection, contemplation, or concentration on an object. The housewife or husband who, before going shopping, sits down for a moment to write a shopping list is, in this view, doing a simple meditation. Without a list, one will undoubtedly forget necessities. Want one. For the Yoga Sutra, as in the Vedas, yoga meditation is a mental discipline that reorganizes the mind. Desikachar defines meditation as, and I quote, creating a favorable and separate meditation space so that the person can focus all their energy on a particular object or goal, thereby enabling deep and lasting communication between them. Meditation is the search for new knowledge in a specific domain. It should help us reduce our problems, promote personal growth, and develop more comfort in relationships. But, and this is important, the object of meditation must be possible and desirable, and therefore must not be harmful or exciting. See Yoga Sutra 139. The word desirable is not in the sutra, but added by Desikachar. Another principle is that yoga meditation is not a Hindu practice. Yoga is an open concept. That yoga is a Hindu practice is a large prejudice. Yoga is an open concept. By distinguishing the concepts faith in a God and religion, spirituality and yoga spirituality, meditation and yoga meditation, just as not every physical discipline is āsana, Krishnamacharya and Desikachar opened the door of yoga to everyone. Yoga meditation does not necessarily rely on the Yoga Sutra or the Bhagavad Gita or Indian culture alone. Yoga is an open concept, but it implies a set of specific disciplines, such as those of the Ashtanga Yoga. Yoga can be integrated into a religious or spiritual practice. Incidentally, the Brahma Sutra, the basis of Advaita Vedanta, states that yoga is not a path in salvation. Only union with God liberates. Yoga is useful for Hindus as a discipline for the mind to concentrate better on God, and that is why yoga techniques are found in Hindu rituals. The fifth principle states that essential in yoga meditation is abhyasa vairagya. You find that in Yoga Sutra 112 and with other words, but the main abhyasa vairagya in the Bhagavad Gita 6:35. They say the same. Through practice, abhyasena, and through detachment, vairagyena, together, those activities of the mind come to rest. In addition, there are a few technical principles. First, the famous principle of Viniyoga of the yoga. Desikachar believed that meditation is very personal. He adapted his yoga teaching not only to Westerns, but also to the individual practitioner, according to the situation, context, problems, etc. Two examples. Muslims would practice with their back to the east, facing the west, so facing Mecca. And Desikachar would not let meditate on the calming influence of the ocean, someone who had experienced a tsunami. Because what is good for one person may harm another. Change is sometimes useful, both in terms of object and structure. It can sometimes yield other essential insights. The principle of Vinyasa of the yoga goes together with the principle of modifications. While the meditation posture and the posture for pranayama are basically a sitting posture, it may vary. It can be Padmasana, Sukhasana, Vajrasana, or sitting on a chair, and so on. And of course, a sick person can meditate in bed, and meditative walking is also possible. Not every reflection requires sitting in Padmasana or doing japa. Then there are the concepts of vinyasa and vinyasa krama. Those concepts exist in all areas of life, such as organizing a party, going on a trip, and preparing a meal. Vinyasa means, in this context, that all disciplines of yoga are interconnected and, in principle, come together in the same yoga practice. It is a vinyasa of āsana, prāṇāyāma, and dhyāna. So also the meditative moment is integrated into a complete yoga practice. However, when the emphasis is on meditation, asana and pranayama are secondary and play a preparatory role. Asanas strengthen and increase the flexibility of the back and pelvis for the sitting posture. Conscious breathing promotes concentration and calmness of mind. Then follows a very practical principle. Every Vedic or Brahmin ritual, and in addition, every yoga and meditation practice follows the same pattern. Vinyasa krama in meditation and yoga practice consists of 3 phases. It's now that I have understand in the seminar of the construction of practices, there are always 3 phases. The first phase, the preparatory or ascending phase, consists of few asanas and pranayamas, possibly with recitation, visualization, or ritual. The meditation prepares the body and breath. All other concerns and tasks of life are set aside. This phase changes little, but it should not be skipped or neglected. The second, the meditative phase, there are also Sanskrit words, pradhana anga, the core phase, is the central phase, the actual reflection or meditation, an encounter and experience with no guarantee of result. That is why the mentality of abhyasa vairagya is so important. Then the third, descending or closing phase, uttara anga, depends on the experience during meditation. It can be done with an asana, a recitation, or a nyasa to spread the liberated energy in the body. The meditator does not stop abruptly, but returns the meditation space to its original state. A transition to daily life is necessary. And last but not least, in principle, the student must find the teacher who suits him. He learns about the needs of his student, their motivation, possibilities, and limitations. The teacher helps the students gain insights. He gives the bhavana, the focus for the meditation. Sometimes the teacher is simply an internal guru, but caution is advised because meditation teaches us things about ourselves. It acts as a mirror, and we must be ready for facing this. In the articles Frans Moors wrote as a report of the discourses of Desikachar, Frans Moors gave an example, the meditation practice of Bernadette. Bernadette, a yoga teacher, has been complaining lately about fatigue and nervousness. She is Christian and asked her teacher for a short meditation practice that would help her get closer to Jesus and give her the strength to cope with her responsibilities. By the way, do not panic. Our practice will be profane with a spiritual value that you can even choose yourself. Bernadette, in consultation with her teacher, installed a small altar in the practice room and chose a meditation object, a print of the Sacred Heart of Jesus, a plant symbolizing Jesus is life, and 2 candles for Jesus is the light and my light. The mantra she chose for the practice was Ma Aham Tvam, which means I am what you are. In the first phase, the Purva Anga, Bernadette lights 2 candles and sets up the rook, her mat, in front of a small altar. She then dynamically performed 3 asanas, Uttanasana, Chakravakasana, and Janusirsasana, while reciting out loud Ma Aham Tvam, I am what you are, obviously on exhale. That's Janusirsasana. Then you have, it's in fact the Vinyasa Krama of Chakravakasana. And in this exercise, you can even transform from baby to cow or other things. And then Janusirsasana. Donc, Tadasana, Chakravakasana and Janusirsasana. This is followed by a Samantraka pranayama, 12 breaths with Ujjayi on inhalation and the mental recitation of the mantra on exhalation. Then in the second phase, Pradhana Anga, I'm too far. Oh, my God. This is the meditation phase. Bernadette, sitting cross-legged, folds her hands together in front of her heart and sings aloud 6 times Ma Aham Tvam. Then she places her hands flat on her heart or on her knees. She continues to meditate for as long as she wants and opens herself up to whatever comes her way. That's the meditation. The third phase, Uttara Anga. When Bernadette feels the moment has come to conclude, she stands up, greets the altar while chanting Om Namo Namaha. I have been told that you should not translate that sentence literally, but that you can say, Lord, I greet you humbly and with respect. She then blows out the candles and puts the mat, the candles, and the image back in their places. Only the plant remains standing. Voila, now we will take a few minutes rest. Voila. So you will receive the article. And then we will do our daily or evening practice. Voila. We start in a few minutes. I would propose 9:15. Okay? Where's the boss? Okay? It's English 9:15. Ruud?
Ja.
Is dat Engels?
9:15 is 9:15.
Yeah, 9:15. Okay, we start again. Okay, it's a short practice.
Okay, that's so.
Yeah.
is 4:15, Paul.
Ja, dat is juist. Is everybody there? Oké.
Ja.
Ruud moet op tijd naar bed dan.
Ja, zeker. Ik heb vandaag les gegeven met moe.
Oké. Voilà. I invite you to sit cross-legged, donc en tailleur, and think for a moment, 2-3 minutes, about a spiritual value you want to meditate on. A value as peace, love, friendship, or justice, and so on. Then, if you want, stand up straight into Samastiti. And now, perform 8 times dynamically Tadasana, and then remain standing in Samastiti. Then you can see it on the screen. Parshva Uttanasana. If you want to perform it 4 times dynamically, first on the left side, then on the right side, or vice versa. On exhalation, you pronounce mentally your spiritual value. Then remain standing in samastiti. Ruth, when you have done, will you tell it because I can't see anybody?
Oké, ik zal het zeggen.
Yep.
Voor mij is het klaar, Paul, maar ik weet niet hoe dat bij de anderen is.
Uiteraard. You stay a while in samastiti. And then you kneel and sit back on your heels. Then you bend forward with your forehead on the floor, arms stretched out in front of you on the floor. It calls Sukta Vajrasana. And on inhalation, you come up onto your hands and knees in Chakravakasana, and on exhalation, we return to the starting position. Do so 8 times. Then remain sitting cross-legged for a while. En Ruud, jij gaat mij voorbij, hè?
Ja, oké. Ik heb de camera ook aanstaan. Ik ben terug in āsana nu.
Then you can sit cross-legged and tailor. And we prepare for a pranayama. In the pranayama, you are, as always, absolutely free because the teacher don't know the condition of your respiration. Donc you can choose your own pranayama or do the next one. You determine also the length of your breathing yourself. And then the vinyasa krama. You always start with some free breaths. On X, you think about your spiritual value, not in the free breaths, but now when you do 4 times 1 0 1 tin 1 till, 8 times 1 1 1 1, 4 times 1 till nil 1 nil, and at the end some free breaths again. Donc, on exhalation, you think about your spiritual value, and the vinyasa krama of the pranayama you see on the screen. It are all samavritis. To favorize equanimity.
Can you put it on the screen?
Sorry. Voilà. Who has finished, remain cross-legged, sitting cross-legged, or the position you want. Then I want to ask, finish your pranayama with some free breaths. Then I propose to come into the starting position for Janu Sirsasana. Perform it 4 times dynamically, first on the left side, then on the right side, or vice versa, and then remain sitting cross-legged for a while. You will have noticed that I forgot the compensatory posture after Parshva Uttanasana. It should have been a soft Uttanasana. But no, to compensate Janu Sirsasana, I propose to do 8 times Apanasana and then remain lying on the back. And then I invite you to come into your meditation position. I invite you to reflect for 3 minutes on the spiritual value you have chosen and associate it with yourself, your family, your friends, your colleagues, and the people living in the regions of the world where there is war. And then finish your meditation and stand up straight into Samastiti. Then I propose to perform a soft Uttanasana 6 or 8 times as a symbol that you bow your body and mind before the mystery of life. You bend your body. I propose to go back in the sitting position cross-legged and in fact a real meditation practice. At the end, they share the merits of their meditation with others. You have done a job, you have liberated some energy, and as yoga is open to the world, you share your merits with others for a minute. So, and then we say May all living beings be happy. So the session is over. Ruud, you can go to bed now.
Bedankt, Paul. Thank you.
Yeah. Where's the ghost? Hey, the ghost, the host.
The host.
Yeah. The host of the Zoom.
Dank u wel, Paul.
Graag gedaan. Natuurlijk, ja, mijn Engels was nog een beetje prutsen. Hè?
Thank you very much. That was wonderful.
Thank you. Your time. Thank you to you. Voilà.
Thank Paul.
Thank you.
See you later, alligators. Salut. At next time.
Ja.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. Dank u wel.
Ja, salut.
Salut.